Hi, and welcome to Two CPAs in the Mic, the podcast where we talk tax, finance, and all things related to business. Whether you're a business owner, working professional, or someone who wants to start a career in accounting, this is the podcast for you. Hosted by CCK Strategies partners Jeff Frabel and Sara Mays, we dive into relevant business and tax matters with working professionals to make these topics less intimidating, relatable, and dare we say fun? Let's get down to business.
Welcome to this week's episode of Two CPAs and the Mic. We are here to cover relevant business and tax topics, but do it with straight talk, practical information, and without all the jargon and stuffiness that generally comes along with our industry. As always, I am Jeff Frabel. I'm a partner at CCK Strategies, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sara. Hi, Sara.
Hey, Jeff. I'm Sara Mays, and I'm also a partner here at CCK Strategies.
Well, you know, KP usually joins us, but she's not here today.
She's not here today. We miss her.
We're down a man or a person, I guess I should say.
Yes.
She's got some family things going on today as we're recording, but it's a good day.
It is a good day. A good rainy day here in Tulsa.
It is raining in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we share that these don't go out right away. There is a little bit of a delay, but it's August today.
Yes.
And it is warm, and we never get rain in August, but we got a lot of good rain this morning. So almost felt like fall. Sort of.
Yeah, because it's 70 out. So
but it'll be hot and muggy by the end
100.
of the day. Welcome to Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we're glad you joined us today. Today we have a very special guest. We are going to be speaking about residential real estate. Now, if you, Sara, if you've listened to all of our episodes,
right?
You know we did cover not residential, but commercial real estate several episodes ago today, or several episodes ago. Several episodes ago.
You got your tongue there.
I got my tongue tied there, so we're not stopping.
No, we're not.
But today we're covering residential.
Yes.
And we're going to do it with somewhat of a little bit of an international flair. So it's not just your local market, Tulsa, Oklahoma stuff we're going to be talking about.
Right.
But we're going to open it up to some national stuff, some international stuff. So you definitely want to be listening. But Sara, why don't you go ahead and introduce today who's on the mic?
You've got a mouthful today.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a very special guest with us today. We got Caroline Gorinsky. She's a realtor with Coldwell Banker. Hi, Caroline. How's it going?
Good morning. Doing great. Thank you.
Good. All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us a little bit of background into, I'm going to keep it specific in the residential real estate world. Let's keep that background because I do have some questions on how you got here.
Okay.
All right. So you've been with Coldwell Banker for how long?
So I've been with Coldwell Banker for all my career, which is 19 years. Got my real estate license 2006, right? That would make 19 years.
That's how long I've been at CCK.
There you go.
Yes.
Good year.
Yeah, it's a very good year. All right. So you have been with Coldwell Banker. You have been with real estate. I know I've talked to you a lot before, but you haven't always been in real estate and you haven't always been in Tulsa. Right?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
All right. How did you land in Tulsa? Where are you born and raised?
Well, I'm going to tell you my love story.
Do
now,
it.
Right?
Do it.
I was born and raised in Switzerland, Lucerne to be exact, which, is probably one of the prettiest cities in the world.
Well, I was going to say that accent sounded more like, Western Oklahoma or something like that. So you surprised me there.
Yeah. Jeff, I tried to work and beautify my accent, but it is just what it is. It's usually a good conversation opener.
Right.
Yes.
So I was born and raised there, lived there pretty much all of my life until I met this wonderful man, two mutual friends on a beach in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Which started Mr. Mark. Yep. And that started a 3-year long distance relationship. And after those 3 years, one of us just had to make a move in order to get the relationship to the next level. And it's usually the girl, right?
Right.
So, I packed my bags and came across the ocean.
Wow. Okay. So Mark isn't originally from the U.S. either.
He is. That's right. He is not. He was born in British Guyana, South America.
Okay.
But had already been in Tulsa for over 20 years.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, I had to look up the map, right? Where is Tulsa? That. So, we were both foreigners, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But have found a great home in the Tulsa area.
Nice. Okay.
So can I ask a real quick question here? Because this kind of parallels the story about my wife and I. We didn't meet on a beach in the Bahamas, but she had to kind of understand where Tulsa was. What was your preconceptions of Oklahoma? Did you still think there were cowboys and Indians out here, or?
So I must admit, when I first came here, I was just blind with love. So, my reason to come was just to see Mark. But I had people ask back home. No kidding. Yeah. Are there still teepees there?
Still teepees. Yeah.
That's awesome.
When my wife came out here in about 1991, 1990, that's kind of what the impression was before she started kind of researching. So was just wondering.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, before we really get into residential real estate, we got to talk about, so when you guys were dating for those 3 years, long distance, did he always fly over there to see you, or did you guys kind of meet I don't know what the middle is.
The ocean.
In the middle of the ocean. No, we both kind of managed to see each other in our respective locations. So Mark flew to Switzerland, or I flew here. And nice. I know I'm very blessed that we were able to do that.
Yes.
I thank his airline. He works for an airline. And I say, if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't be married.
So this is really kind of a real life 90-day fiance thing, right? That's what we're really
for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
It's true. I mean, it is, God leads us in miraculous ways or mysterious ways.
Yes.
And, I really feel this was meant to be. And that's also meant to be to land in Oklahoma, because, what great of a location is this here,
is a great location.
It's such a good
fantastic
location.
Place to live, to raise a family.
Yes.
Yeah. And all of our visitors, we have frequent visitors from overseas. They come here and they love it. And they say, it feels like seeing the real America.
Right.
Our tourists usually end up in Miami, New York, the West Coast.
Right.
And so
they usually stay on the coast. They don't venture into the middle, right?
Where the tourist places are. And Oklahoma definitely is a place to be for them. They all say, this is great shopping. And
yes.
People are nice. And
we are nice.
We are.
Okay, but back home, you were not a realtor.
That is correct. No. The real estate industry does not really exist in Switzerland. It's starting now, but remember, it's such a small country. A lot of people rent there. That's just the way it is. And people that own real estate oftentimes is passed on within the family. So I was actually a druggist. This kind of sounds odd in English.
Is that a pharmacist?
It's a type of pharmacist, correct? Okay. You take away the prescription drug. So the drug works more in consultation, focuses more on alternative medication, plant-based, homeopathy. So, that's what my profession was. And the last several years before coming over here, I worked in the high-end cosmetic and fashion industry. I was a director of a very old traditional store downtown Lucerne. And when I came here, I had every intention to pursue that career. But again, my path just took a different direction.
Okay, so what sparked your interest in real estate when you moved over here?
My neighbor. Okay. She really was a pest, a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little.
A little pest.
So when I moved here and relocated, the first several months, I didn't work. And I was just trying to figure out what to do, which direction to go. And Kelly, my next door neighbor, she was an escrow officer. She worked at a title company. And her best friend, they just kept bugging me saying, Caroline, you need to become a realtor. You need to join us in real estate. And I just laughed at him. Yeah. Saying, Kelly, I have no idea what real estate industry even is about. We don't have that. We don't move over there and buy and sell houses like you guys do. But her reasoning was, she said, look, we have transactions at the table where oftentimes the wives have no clue what's going on. International relocation. The husband gets the job here. He's been here before. Now the family moves. They have to buy a house. How scary is that? Right. Take up a mortgage of such a valuable amount. So she said, you really need to join our business because you're multilingual. I do speak several languages. And so after a little while, I figured I could just at least go and take the real estate test, learn something in general about the U.S. to become a better legal immigrant.
Right. Right.
And so that's what I did. I took the classes, took the test, passed, and was
the rest is history. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So did you have any challenges? Did you learn, I'm going to just ask this question. Did you learn English over in Switzerland, or did you have to learn that and kind of build that up when you moved here?
I definitely had to build it up. I spoke English, yes. I spoke school English. I have worked in various touristy areas in Switzerland. I did spend a year in the Bahamas. That's where I went to learn English.
Oh, that's a nice place to learn
There's worse places, yes.
Yes.
But, I mean, definitely the real estate jargon I didn't know. So every night after class, I would go home and learn my vocabulary. And I still remember when we talked about mortgages. I thought that was such a cool word. Mortgage, mortgage. That's just a cool sound to it.
Yes. That's awesome.
And to this day, Sarah, I learn, and
well,
I make up words, and my friends tease me about certain words that I still don't pronounce correctly.
I do that. I do that. Okay, so what other challenges or barriers did you have coming into the real estate industry? Or was it pretty smooth aside from the language barrier?
Yes, I would say it was pretty smooth. One thing I really appreciate about our local real estate industry is that there is not a whole lot of competition. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's about 5,000 realtors in the greater Tulsa area. So obviously we compete for each other's business, but at least in our brokerage, everybody helps each other. So when I first came on board, there were colleagues at the office and they all offered their help. They say, look, if you need help with this, come to my office, come along with me and, learn the things. And that was what really drove it home to me. Like, gosh, people here are so nice. They actually help each other. They're not just worried about, you taking away their business and whatnot. Right. So it's definitely learning by doing, right? To this day, after almost 20 years in the business, you still learn every day.
Yeah.
But that's just like you guys, right?
Right.
Tax
that is exactly right.
And I was going to say that what hit home there with that comment was when someone starts new with us, especially if they're entrepreneurial and they want to build a book of business, that's the attitude that all of the contacts here have is, hey, if you need help, if I need to go out with you, if I need to help bring you through this process, I'm happy to do it. And it's because we kind of are eat what you kill as far as you build your book. And so, but it's you never really have to worry about someone taking something or kind of going behind your back.
Yes.
It's a teammate approach. And that's kind of what you experience there as well. Yep. So yeah, we know exactly what you're talking about.
Great. And I have that feeling here, in the holy halls of CCK.
Hollowed walls of CCK.
See, that's where I just made up with you.
We should put a sign up. You're entering the hollowed walls of CCK. So I don't know if I can ask this question. And if not, I guess we'll edit it out. But are you a citizen? Are you a resident alien? What's your status then?
I am a citizen. Okay. I have dual citizenship. Yes.
Okay. And how long ago did you do that?
7 years ago.
Okay. Yep. I hear that process I think the joke in our house is if we had to take it, we would probably fail because there's a lot of questions that you have to go through that are just not really common knowledge as a born citizen. So congratulations on that process.
Thank you. Yeah, that was exciting. And I feel very honored to have that blue passport along my red one. And today actually is the Swiss national holiday. So my motherland's birthday is today.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So this is a great day to be on the show.
Darn, we should have released today.
Clarence, how quick can you turn that around? All right. So how has you were a druggist. Back home, how does that background influenced and helped with your client interactions here in the States, working with people trying to buy a residence?
I have a friend that has once told me that I'm just a born salesperson. As a matter of fact, my boss in the Bahamas, he used to say, you can sell sand to an island boy and ice to an Eskimo. I don't know if that's good or bad. But when I meet with clients first that want to sell a house, I always tell them, tell me whatever you know, love, dislike about your property. Why did you buy it? Because the more items I know about the property, the more information I have to sell it, right? Mm-hmm. And I also think selling of a house in the first place often has to do with the realtor that's taking clients there. So that's what I try to do. Before someone shows a property of mine, if I can, I try to reach out to that realtor and just tell them some items about the property to really point out. And I think that gets them excited before they open the door and show it to their clients. So a sale is a sale, whether you sell a medication or a nice pair of shoes, a purse, a cologne, it's about getting your clients excited about what they're about to get, or helping them just get the best proceeds, right?
Right.
So that certainly has helped me a lot. Empathy.
Oh, yeah.
I've led a pretty extensive team of ladies. That helps, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just about you, it's about the team. And same thing with buying or selling real estate. It's a teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that certainly has helped me. Mm-hmm.
So do you have any practices or values from your background that do you feel like has given you a unique advantage of bringing that in selling real estate?
I think probably referred back to the same thing that I just said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like you just know, you just look for that in a certain person, right?
And it's, it doesn't matter what you're selling, in my opinion. Again, same thing what I did in my previous job. Did it matter whether this lady walked out with a $15 hairpin, with a Swarovski crystal on it? That was her treasure that she walked out the door with. Doesn't matter if someone purchases a $95,000 condominium or
a $500,000 home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To them, that's really what counts. It's what they're happy with. And that's what makes me happy too. It's a success story. And yeah, it's just beautiful whenever such things happen.
Nice. Okay. All right. So because you have that international experience, and do you have is your client base more leaning toward those moving overseas to the Tulsa area, or is it a good mix of people just in the area or just moving to the area from across the United States?
I would say today it's a good mix.
Okay.
I did start my career 19 years ago with mainly corporate relocation because remember, I had just moved here. I did not have a circle of friends here. I didn't have family here like a lot of realtors. That's how they start out. So I actually went and knocked on doors in international companies here in Tulsa. And believe it or not, there are a lot of them here. We are an international melting pot. And that's how I started out. So I did really what my neighbor nudged me to do. I started out that way. I helped families relocate from Europe to the U.S. or back home. Now, after 19 years, I have a nice mix. That's beauty about being a realtor, just like a CPA, I guess, right? You start maybe with a transaction of the grandma, then her daughter purchased a house. Now the granddaughter's old enough to purchase her first home or you sell. So that's just how it gradually starts, and you grow your business clientele. Corporate relocation from international borders, I would say, probably have declined a little bit. But there's still a lot going on within the United States. And so same thing. But I do have have had quite a lot of German clients this year. And so
nice.
It's great. So maybe that's also word of mouth,
Right, yeah.
That realtor actually speaks German or French and, so.
So you kind of started off cold calling international companies. How was that? What kind of success rate did you have with that? Did you find that no one was really doing that, and so you were received very positively, or were there other realtors in the area doing that, or just how successful was that? Did you have to do a lot of it, or was it just a natural thing?
So back then, there were a couple of realtors that were linked to those companies that I would work with. There were just the realtors in town, that would work with certain clientele, and probably took a bit of business away from them. But again, God leads in mysterious ways. I joined the Swiss Club of Oklahoma, which we have here in Tulsa. Well, the president at that time was an HR head of a big company. And so that linked me up with that company. And then again, and it's kind of word of mouth. I would say certain calls, they go nowhere, right?
Right.
But without making the call, you don't get anywhere. So
that's right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So when people are moving from overseas, and I'm not going to be naive to say that, all of Europe is, or anywhere international, or just rent everything over there. But is there anything that you really have to kind of put your clients into a mindset like this is really different over here in the U.S. versus where you're coming from?
So when they contact me, they are already ready to buy, right?
Okay.
So they have made that big decision. Okay, it's not worth renting. Let's purchase and invest. And then I really don't try to compare where they're coming from. I just turn the mindset, okay, you're here now. This is how we do it. Let's not compare. Let's just focus on the process step by step. Contractual paperwork, that certainly I make sure to really go over the contract to make sure that they know what they're signing, that they're comfortable with that. But other than that, I guess people that come here, they are open, right? They're open to change.
Yeah.
They're open to delve into a new adventure. And
Right. I just didn't know if there was anybody that was just surprised, like, the size of the houses here are so different, or you actually don't get to walk everywhere. You have to like get in your car and drive. So I didn't know if those kind of things, if there's some shock value when they move here.
Yeah, it's a different lifestyle for sure.
Yeah.
I remember I took a client into the car and we just did a drive-through day. We drove through the pharmacy, we drove through the bank, we drove through foods, and they were just, oh my gosh, can you really drive everywhere?
Right.
But then comes the next question. You gotta have a car.
Yeah.
You can't just walk and go shopping and do everything on foot.
Since COVID has, I remember us talking and you were doing a lot of video tours. Has that, even though we're past COVID and all those things, has that trend kind of just stayed the same of like, hey, everybody just wants a video tour now because they don't want to travel over, and they just, because you said a lot of people have just bought a house just seeing it on video and not really seeing like the location or the area.
Yeah.
Is that still kind of trending that way?
No, that has changed a bit.
Okay.
There's still option or situations where we do that. But the market also has changed a little bit, that back in the day during COVID or right after, if someone saw a home online that they liked, we had to jump right on it, right? There was no time saying, okay, today is Wednesday. Why don't you come on Saturday and we go look at that home? At that time, it had already been sold. So today it has changed. We're more in a balanced market. And if possible, I certainly encourage people to come and look at the home in person. So I would say that trend has kind of gone down.
Yeah, just like a one-time thing. Right. Okay.
But we still offer that, by all means, that's still an option.
What are some tools or approaches that you have to help bridge that language or cultural gap with people moving into the Tulsa area?
I think there aren't so many tools really, but the conversation.
Okay.
So I really try to be there for my clients, to talk them through, to explain our lifestyle. And a lot of times those questions or challenges just come up again through the conversation.
Right.
To me, that's just very important, to be there for them. Oftentimes there is a time difference, right? Even from East to West Coast here. So I tell my clients, if you lay in bed at night and some question is just bothering you, and that by, also clients that live here, shoot me a text. I will probably not reply to you at 3:00 in the morning, but that way it's off your head.
Yes,
and I think
that's
that
nice.
helps when you, I remember I made that transition, right? That relocation on a grand scale. And there are certainly questions that came up. That was before any social media or email or things like that. But I would just say conversation is the biggest tool.
Yeah.
So Caroline, you mentioned earlier that you had some impressions of Oklahoma when you came here 20 some years ago. Do you find those impressions are still the same with people, whether they're moving from overseas or from another part of the country? What are the we're not a Tulsa podcast, but what are the misconceptions that they have about this area of the country, the Midwest? That's
a really good question, Jeff. So I like to say that I have different hats. Sometimes I take the realtor hat off and I put the tour guide hat on, the tourist business bureau. I think the common misconception is still that we're just this little city in the Dust Bowl. There's really nothing cool about Tulsa. It's a small city in the United States. And sometimes companies do call me and they have employees coming in for their job decision trips. And that's exactly what I hear. Pick them up at the airport or we meet at the office or wherever. And there's just a little bit of that. I'm not sure. The job sounds good, but do I really want to move my family to Tulsa? And then we drive around for a day or two. I take them to the hot spots downtown, or we drive out in the country, visit different communities, neighborhoods that they might be interested in, pick a couple of homes to look at. And Jeff, after those 2 days, 1 day, sometimes 3 days, they're energized. Yeah. They love it. They're like, man, yeah, it's a small country, a small city, but it has everything we need.
Yeah.
And all those little startup companies that we have here.
Absolutely.
Right? Tulsa, the program.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Blank. Sorry.
Yeah. There's programs.
Yeah.
There's programs to come to Tulsa.
Yeah. To incentivize you to come here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, I mean, all of that. But then you drive an hour and a half and you're up in Pawhuska and you see the buffaloes roam. And, we have so much here.
Right.
In such a
You're
short
singing
distance.
our song, Buffaloes
So
Roam.
when you were talking to business owners, so we may have a business owner that's listening that is maybe recruiting someone from international or something like that. When you talk to them, do you have a conversation about things that their prospective employee is going to encounter, or are they kind of clueless? They're bringing someone over. They think it's no big deal. Do you consult with them and say, no, these are the things that this prospective person is going to need to be thinking about?
No, I do not get in the middle of their job assignments or hiring and whatnot. But what I tell the business owners, I tell them my job as a realtor is to take the worry off your employee's mind. So whether that employee is now moving to your location in Colorado, right? He does not need to worry that his home here gets sold. I am here at work full time from A to B until the property is sold. He has his funds in hand. So he can focus on his job there. On the same time, when they come here, I tell him it's my job to make him comfortable, to find their way home, right? So I try to take care of the stuff outside work. So spend time with their wives, their kids, find a pediatrician, best hairdresser, the nail lady. Those are all small things that we might not think are important, and that's why I kept saying, I don't think being a realtor is just a job. To me, I think it's more of a calling.
Right.
You need to love what you do because you impact people's lives big time.
Well, what you're talking about, again, is no different than the way we are here. We tell our teammates, it's not just doing a tax return. You are doing a function, number one, that the client generally does not know how to do it. And it takes a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety off their minds so that they can focus on what makes them money, which is what you're talking about.
Yep.
And it just is a way to minister to people and to take care of something that is not they're not acclimated to. And so we know exactly how that feels to take care of people. And it really is, like you said, it's a higher calling. It's even my wife, she's not she's in teaching because she felt called to do that. And so that's where your personality takes over, your talents take over, and you really make yourself separate yourself from other people in the industry for sure.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of what Caleb said. I think it was your last podcast. He said, everybody is somewhat worried about the IRS, right? There's always that little thing in the back. And so this is my pitch to you guys. As a realtor, it's one of your job or makes you maybe stand out and makes you feel better if you have a circle of trusted contractors among you. Those are people that can fix houses, paint, inspectors, title ladies, lenders. Sara is that link in my network. I mean, she knows that we may have to adjust my tax strategies, right? Whether the year is going better or less than what we have projected. And that also really takes worry off my shoulders. So Mark and I know, okay, we're in good hands. The IRS will not hunt us down. And I had to make that stop after I got one of those funny phone calls, oh, this is IRS. And if you don't pay this, we're going to be at your house. And that was, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years into my stay here. And man, I was so scared. I'm like, oh goodness, I'm going to get deported because I don't pay taxes, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when we said, okay, we really need to trust our taxes.
Well, I love how you talked about being a one-stop shop for your clients. I know one of the best sales relationships I ever had was with my what I call my car guy. And over the course of 20 years, we had purchased probably 5, 6, 7, 8 cars, as our kids grew up and all this kind of stuff. And my kids actually referred to him as Uncle Troy because if I am not a car guy. And so if something was going wrong with the car, I say, call Troy. And Troy would pick up that phone and 10 years later and solve a problem for us. And so I'm sure there's probably people out there say, call Aunt Caroline. She'll take care of it. So again, just another way to differentiate yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So what is currently, you guys were doing so great, like just connecting with each other, but I'm going to take it back to business. What is in this area? What are you seeing as like current market trends? Are we in a high? Are we in a low? Where are we at within the residential real estate world?
So I would say right now we are kind of in a balanced market.
Okay.
And there's various ways, right, of looking at it. If my fellow realtors listening to this, they might interpret it differently. But so a balanced market, kind of what we call in our office is if there's 3 months worth of inventory out there, meaning it would take 3 months to get everything sold without new inventory coming on the market. Mm-hmm. That took some of the challenges away, right, that we had in the crazy markets. But it really is a fantastic place to be where buying or selling. So if you're selling a property, that means there are plenty buyers out there, qualified buyers that are really ready and willing to buy properties. Mm-hmm. Some of my listings still result in multiple offer situations, which is fabulous, right, for the seller side. But if I represent a buyer, that gives me the opportunity to negotiate a little harder on their behalf, have sellers help them with covering closing costs or, really show comparables saying, okay, the property maybe is not quite worth what it's listed at. So it helps me in both buying or selling really be most of the cases successful, be achieving the goal, advocate them in good terms. So, but also at the same time, I'd like to say that in Tulsa, I don't think we ever have to worry, about those crisis that we
tend to stay fairly level.
Yes.
And by the time, there's things going on nationally that may not be as good, but it takes a while to get here. And sometimes that impact is lessened. That's kind of what you're getting at?
Absolutely. And that's true. Our market values, they used to go up by 4% slowly every year. They have gone up more the last couple of years. And I think that's also healthy, kind of gets us a little bit more into the national landscape. But yeah, we don't have those strict up and downs like those maybe coastal areas have or big cities, right? Where our values depreciate all of a sudden by 10s or 20 or 30%. We're just nice and even. So great place to be, great place to invest.
Nice.
So Caroline, we've heard a lot over the last several months, maybe 6 to 12 months about a lot of, I guess they call it immigration into Oklahoma. I think we're kind of in a situation where for the first time in many, many, many years, there's more people that are maybe moving in than are moving out, and they're coming from like California and areas like that. Are you seeing that in your profession and in the people you're dealing with?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm.
And where are they coming from? Are they coming from California? Or?
They are, I would say, 3 main states, yes, California, Colorado, Arizona. Those in my clientele, those were the 3 main states. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're not coming from Texas. Not yet.
You hear that. You do hear that. They're all coming in from Texas. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. So to wrap up, what is your favorite and your most successful, your favorite success story that you just love? We're going to brag. You need to brag on yourself a little bit. Okay.
Well, it's funny that you just brought up Colorado. I think I would name this my favorite story. So, every closing is successful, right? And I could name numbers that I've sold. Anyway, I won't brag, but
yes, you need to.
It's okay.
But, as a realtor, they always say you need to answer your calls. And sometimes that's hard because you have these calls from California, from South Carolina, from Arizona, and, you pick up and exactly it's not a real call. Sometimes it says spam risk, and I might not always answer, but it was several years ago. I got this call over the Colorado number, and I hesitated and looked at it. Okay, I'm going to answer because I'm going to answer all the calls. And there was this lady on the other end and said, "Hi, Caroline. This is such and such. I'm flying in next Wednesday. My sons and I are moving from Colorado. We're selling everything we have, our investment properties. We want to come and start over in Oklahoma. I'm going to go look at 200 acres for my sons tomorrow on Wednesday morning. Can I meet with you in the afternoon? Would you show me around and show me some homes?" And
absolutely.
Absolutely. But lady, I also know you're not real. This is a scam. But I said, "Sure. Would you like for me to set up a search for you with properties?" And she said, "No, just pick some. These are my criteria. This is my price range. Just show me what you want me to show me." I said, "Okay, absolutely. I'll do that." So next Wednesday rolls around. She was supposed to be at my office at noon. She calls around 11 and she says, "Well, I'm a little bit behind. I won't be there until 1. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be here at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you will not show up."
So I want to pause this. So when you talk about scam calls, you're not like talking about the scam calls we all get where you just know that Carolyn and you're like, "No, it's not Carolyn, it's Caroline." But okay, they mess up your last name. But you get calls where people like pretend like they want to be a
Oh, yeah.
okay, and then they what's the scam in that? What are they trying to do? Just
Jeff, I try to understand that too.
just waste your time, I guess.
I mean, there's
Okay.
I've had roofers calling, or I had clients calling me saying, "Okay, I just got a call from a roofer. He said I was going to come out tomorrow." I was like, "No, absolutely not." We have sellers that pretend to be sellers. They will sign a listing agreement with a realtor. Realtor puts the sign in the yard, and then the real owner calls and say, "Hey, I don't want to sell my property."
Oh,
So yeah, there's
Okay.
lots of that
All
going
right.
on. And that's exactly where the conversation piece comes in it again, right? I mean, texting is fantastic. Email is good. But
Okay.
if you
need to
talk
hear-
to people,
Yeah.
you find out. But anyway, in this particular
All right,
case, I
back
thought,
to the
no.
story.
Yeah.
She's coming at
She's
1
not
and you're wondering if she's going to show up. All right.
So 1:00 rolls around and the lady shows up. And she has become a wonderful friend of mine. She has bought a primary residence. She's bought multiple investment properties. Her sons have purchased properties. She has friends that are moving here from Colorado following her lead.
Wow.
And so to me, that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I love to tell that story because it's realtors. Pick up your phone. You never know. And then I also asked her, Jeff, I said, "So how did you get my number?"
That's what I was going to ask you.
You know, it was like, let me find out a little bit more. And she says, "Well, I found you online. I found your website. I researched your profile. I read some reviews, and I just thought you would be a great fit for me." And I'm like, "Okay, let's see if we."
That's awesome.
But yeah, she's a dear friend, and I just love that. You know, it happens out of the blue.
Well, you always wonder the effort you put into some of those things, like the online presence, the social media and things like that, if they ever pan out. So it's always kind of nice when that does,
do.
to know that those efforts that you put out there do. And I'm a big believer, and we've talked about this many times about God connecting the dots.
Absolutely.
And I just believe that comes in His timing. So, and it usually comes at a time when you're kind of down a little bit, and it's like, okay, people really are thinking about me, and that's a fun story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Caroline, thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, I know how we connected. I mean, you had been a client here for a while and a little bit rocky, and those people are not here anymore. And then you were moved to me, and I just felt like we clicked.
Yes.
And I just have really, really cherished our relationship over the years. And I just super appreciate how much you have the trust in me. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for coming on our
But all
lovely
that
podcast.
before, because you know what time it is.
Yeah.
If you've
Oh, yeah.
listened
If
to our
you've listened,
podcast,
you
you
know
know
what
what
time
time it is. It's time for
Rapid fire. We're a little bit dorky, right?
Yeah. A little bit.
All right. Well, it's funny that I have this very first question, and you actually already answered it during the podcast. So my very first question, are you a thinker or a doer?
Doer.
Yes. See, that's just kind of like a little Holy Spirit thing, just putting that question in. All right. What is your favorite type of cuisine?
Italian.
Nice. I don't even know if you do karaoke, but I'm going to ask, if you were going to do karaoke, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Sweet Caroline.
Nice.
You had to be talking before we started recording, and very nice.
So good. So good.
So-
All right.
That was funny. Okay.
All
You
right.
are a nerd.
Yes. What is your go-to drink? Like coffee, tea, wine?
Vodka.
Red wine.
Red wine. Nice. All right. And last, what is your bucket list place to travel that you haven't been to yet?
Antarctica.
And oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay. All
Wow, that was a
right.
quick answer.
That was. Okay, I got to know a little bit more.
Works. Yeah, we got to get that done.
Okay, so what sparks your interest to go down there?
I would like to have been on every continent.
Mhm.
That is definitely one. That's the furthest south.
Right.
It also you have to go through that Drake Passage, so it's not just getting into the airplane and go somewhere
Right.
for a weekend. So I just would love to be there and say I've.
Does Mark want to go?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
I can't wait to hear. I know you guys are going to go. It's a bucket list.
Yep.
I can't wait when you do go.
The
And
funny
you
thing was you said down there, and in my head, I thought up there. So I completely
you do not know
upside
your
down.
geography, Jeff.
I also like to go to Greenland. That's
Yeah.
also on my bucket list.
So that's up there.
That's up there. Yeah, I got to get my geography squared away. But was that the last rapid fire
Yes,
question?
that was the last rapid fire.
Sarah,
You're
thank
good.
you. Yeah, they're always excellent and fun. So,
Yes.
Caroline, thank you so much for joining us. Lots of great information there for business owners, for people that are just listening and maybe come across these situations where real estate does come into play. Because I mean, quite honestly, that our home is one of our biggest investment
Yes.
assets, and it's always nice to have someone that cares and someone that feels that empathy. And like I said, we tend to do the same thing here as far as knowing that it's more than just doing a function, but it's serving a purpose. So thank you
Exactly.
for all that information. We're so glad you joined us. If you would like to maybe get in touch with Caroline somehow, feel free to podcast us. Feel free to email us at podcast@cckcpa.com. Let us know if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. Be sure to like us, review us, do all that kind of fun stuff that they do on social media. But you can contact us at podcast@cckcpa.com. As always, we want to thank CCK Strategies for allowing us this opportunity to venture out into this platform and talk with some really, really cool people like Caroline. To KP, even though she's not here, thank you for always keeping us on the straight and narrow. Robert, thank you for your intro and outro music. Our wise sage, Clarence Fisher, Tulsa Internet Marketing Services, thank you. And Emily, thank you for doing all the behind the scenes work. As always, we had fun. We're glad that you joined us. We hope that you join us next time. So come back next time and check out these two CPAs when they have a chat, and you can find out who's on the mic.
The information provided on this podcast is for general informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute accounting, tax, legal, or financial advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, laws and regulations change and individual circumstances vary. Always consult with a qualified CPA or professional advisor before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organizations they are affiliated with. Listening to this podcast does not create a client-accountant relationship. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge and agree to those terms. And that's a wrap for this episode of Two CPAs in the Mic. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Have questions or ideas for a topic? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@cckcpa.com.